Welcome to the Elite Investor Show, where we interview some of Tampa Bay's top real estate investors, entrepreneurs, and developers. On our show today, John Gardepe.
What's up, man?
Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Dude, new setting. This is great.
This is a great setting.
This is great.
Looks
So,
like your TV too.
Yeah, nice. We got the logo there. So I wanted to kick it off maybe with a bang. So 2025 has probably been, I'd say, like the most challenging year I've seen among real estate investors in probably like the last 8 to 10 years. And it seems like you guys at Banyan are just cranking it out. Like you guys are doing a lot of off-market deals. You guys are doing a lot of flips. You guys have entered the development space in St. Pete. And so I wanted to hear your feedback as we near the end of the year. Right now it's November, on what you guys are doing differently to kind of set yourselves apart and really get that result. Because I think not everyone is achieving that.
Yeah.
And so some of those insights I think would be valuable.
Yeah, for sure. I heard at the event, what was it, last week, 2 weeks ago, the 7-figure flipping event.
Oh yeah.
I heard Bennett was gloating a little about how a similar question was raised of like, who's actually made money this year, who had a good year. And he said he was like one of 3 people who raised their hand. I don't know if you were in that room or not, but
I was not there for that.
That was cool, for that to occur and us so this is a question that actually like we've reflected on a little bit.
Yeah.
As of recent. So good timing. I think something that we've done is, I think what a lot of people tend to do when they get into real estate, and what I've noticed at numerous stages is like real estate is so easy for you to go down a path that you're not familiar with.
Yeah.
Like a terrain that you've never been down.
Yeah.
And you bite off more than you can chew pretty often. I think
Mhm.
that's very common. I don't think there's many people who practice staying within like their guardrails.
Yeah.
And I think that I look at you and I see like you're very narrowed in what you do, and I feel like just getting to know you and seeing being a part of EIMG, there's a lot of like you're good at saying no from what I can see. And
Took me a lot of practice.
I'm sure it did.
Yeah.
But now like what's worth your time, maybe where your expertise lie. I think a lot of people don't. They probably know where their expertise lie, but they are not, their ego gets in the way.
Yeah.
So I think when we've gone off course a little bit, starting new strategies or like dipping our toes in, we've done it with someone who knows that strategy very well. So
Mhm.
I think, and I gotta, highlight Bennett's leadership there, because
Yeah.
a lot of that is him finding the collaboration points.
Yeah.
As I'm kind of focused on our wholesale and acquisitions, he's helping to strategize and find those collaboration partners. So when we do attempt new things, we're doing it with some professional guidance.
Man, that's good. Collaboration.
Yeah, collaboration's
makes a
really,
difference.
really big
Yeah.
especially when you don't really know the path ahead, you need to walk with someone who does.
Yeah.
That's why mentors in the group is, EIMG is huge for that. And I feel like majority of the people that we've collabed with have, come out of that EIMG or a similar group. But then I also think like we stay pretty consistent with looking over our marketing, looking over our budget, and making sure that, we kind of have guardrails there too. There's some things where when we're getting too far this way, hey, there's a red flag. We need to figure out how to come back in. I think a lot of people just can really get ahead of themselves, and then they find themselves in a valley, and they can't get out of it. So we've dialed in. I think our on the acquisition side is where we're the most busy with the wholesaling. We've put a lot of time and effort into our sales process and our customer experience. And I think that's what really helps us, has supported us when our marketing's not really working well. Our customer experience and our referrals is what kind of helps kind of pick us up.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are a few things I think that we've just put a lot of attention to, or what we've done well, to keep us from losing too much money on certain things. We've lost money on deals this year. We're not the only ones that are haven't, I guess, or
Yeah.
everyone else isn't the only ones that haven't.
Yeah.
And we've lost, we've had a few deals where we lost quite a bit,
Yeah.
which that
What's quite a
hurts.
bit, like, in your opinion, if you're
Well,
appreciating?
we had one. Our biggest hit was, I think, 60 grand we lost on a deal.
Yeah, that hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was a matter of just entering into something we weren't familiar with, and um, we paid for it. So
Yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and accuse you guys of being complacent, but like it can happen really fast. And where I've seen it happen the fastest of other businesses, it's where they're not really tracking the liquidity. They're over leveraging, probably with bad debt. And bad debt fundamentally is when your interest rate on the debt surpasses the overall ROI on a project level. And they are not tracking, besides tracking the financials, they're also not tracking their business inputs.
yeah,
Like instead of knowing how many offers they're making a week, or knowing how many appointments are going on a week, or knowing how many contracts they got in a week, they have no idea. And
yeah,
then they wonder why they didn't get a great result. But to your point, that is there. I think there's a downside of having excellence as a standard, and it causes, I don't know about you, but for me, sometimes it causes you to get into this mode to where mentally it's like, you're always trying to improve, you're always trying to do more.
yeah,
And then if you're anything like me, you get caught in this trap of like, well, that's not good enough.
yeah,
And that can be kind of dark sometimes, but
yeah,
it leads to also leads to success. So I think there's two sides of that sword.
yeah. That's something I've been diving into personally,
Yeah, yeah,
like a lot as of recent. Um, and I have another, I have another mentor who is like, one of his phrases or taglines or whatever is closer over more, and
yeah.
closer
Did he write
to,
that book? There's a book called Rigging the Game.
yeah.
That's the name of the book,
So,
Rigging the Game.
so actually he did help to write I think a chapter of that.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, closer over more, closer to the life that you want, and
yeah,
whatever that breaks down to. But like a lot of, and this is where I think the ego comes into real estate, is like you constantly want to say that you're doing more, and I see all the time. And when it's profitable and it's going well, then there's validity to this. But advertising how many deals that you're doing,
yeah,
it doesn't mean a damn thing.
yeah,
If
yeah.
you're,
We're gonna really
if your
unpack
bottom
this.
line is nothing to share and be proud of, then you doing 100 deals this year means nothing. If your marketing is out of hand, like one, like if your marketing is out of hand and you're just doing volume, but you're not, your bottom line looks like one, that again, that's nothing to be proud of. But then two, think of everything else that is required to barely move the needle at the bottom line. Like how many transactions you got to keep track of, how many sellers you need to deal with, how many buyers, all these things come into it. And it's like your life is probably in chaos and you're barely move. Your bottom line's not showing anything that
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can be proud of. So
yeah. You're spending 95 grand a month to make 100 in revenue.
yeah,
It's like, that's personally, I would not.
no,
It's a huge risk. And especially in the wholesale space, if you have one, sometimes deals just don't close. Sometimes things are just unclosable. Like,
yeah,
happens every now and then. I'm not really in the wholesale space, but you know this better than anybody. Here's an example. We just closed on one on a Friday afternoon, and on Monday at 10 a.m. it went to auction. Like, it got canceled from the county foreclosure auction. I was looking at it as it came up because I was like, I have a deed and an owner's title policy to this property right
Yeah.
now, and it's about to go up for auction. So they'll have to rescind the auction or
Sure.
whatever. But it got canceled from auction 5 minutes before it went live.
wow,
And I was like, if I hadn't have closed Friday, if we wouldn't have closed Friday, this would have just been an unclosable deal.
yeah,
So can you imagine you have one of those deals and you have maybe 2 or 3 months of that? It's like you can be in a bind really quickly.
yeah,
And people sometimes gloss that over. But yeah. That's a totally valid point. So I appreciate you sharing some of the things that are working for y'all right now.
yeah.
So you guys started with some new construction projects this year, right? And that's your first time kind of stepping foot into that space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Bennett's been a huge, he's spearheading that for sure.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I can't speak too much on that,
Yeah.
but that was, aside from some like ADUs that were,
Yeah.
built, last year, maybe 2 years ago, new construction, like everything is brand new. Yeah, first kind of venture into that, and that's something where we didn't just buy land, get plans, and find a builder for it. There's a JV partnership on all of those builds
Yeah, solid.
because to just have that guidance that I mentioned earlier, like
For sure.
we're collabing. So,
Yeah, helps you mitigate the risk.
yeah.
It's not impossible to win solo. I think I had some wins solo in 2020, and as 2021 came around, I wanted to kind of grow what I was doing. I was still like very much full time in the military. That's when it really hit me that like collaboration is the key.
Yeah.
I think for most driven people who have some level of discipline, it's not too hard in real estate to make between 100 and 200K per year.
I agree.
Once you cross about $500,000 net per year in the business, it's almost impossible to be doing that without collaborating.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it has to be a certain way. It doesn't have to be in a formal partnership. It doesn't have to be a JV with a contractor. It doesn't mean you need a team size of 20. But you got to consider like every vendor that you work with. If you're giving them repeat business, they do a good job, everyone's happy. Like that is a collab inherently. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to like we could definitely, as buy land, find an architect, and go through that process. But how much time does that?
Yeah.
How much attention does that take? And then what is it taking away from? So, we could get it done, but is it going to halt the progress of everything else that we got moving? So that's where I think, like, as you mentioned, as you're climbing those revenue like brackets, you've got so much going on. So if you enter in as like a newbie, well, then everything else is probably going to take a dent from an attention standpoint, at least, which is then going to result in probably less revenue.
Yeah, I think that's what taught me to say no. Was I started to ask myself years ago, okay, I could say yes to this widget, this one thing or whatever, and maybe this one thing could actually be profitable. Let's call it like I don't really buy in St. Pete.
Sure.
We have before, but it's not really my specialty. Yeah. So let's call that widget like, hey, do you want to look at this deal in some obscure zip code, an area you don't really know all that well, kind of like, Tampa, James, and do you want to do this maybe flip in St. Pete? And I could probably do it and shift some of our systems over there and maybe make 20, 30, 40 grand on a flip or whatever. But like, what did I take my attention off of in order to do that? And so I look at a lot of things from the framework of opportunity cost. And by focusing on specific things now in our business, it allows me to be pretty confident. It's not always a sure thing, but be pretty confident that the time I do spend, it allows us to make decisions more quickly.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a trade-off, because I do think there is real power to staying outside your comfort zone. Like that's where the most growth occurs. So you do want to challenge yourself in certain regards, but like doing deals geographically has helped us. I mean, we're having a breakout year in our development business, and the amount of profit that we'll make this year, I forecasted over the weekend through the end of the year, like it's more than double last year. And it's because of that.
Yeah.
And so I look back, I'm like, well, I'm glad I decided to do that. So I know this year it worked in a season that is challenging many. But yeah, overall, I try to ask myself, like, what is this costing me?
Yeah.
I don't know if I told you this story, but Adam Whitney challenged me. This was 2021, I think. Adam Whitney challenged me with mowing my own yards on rentals. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I heard you present about it
Yeah.
At the Clearwater event.
Okay. Yeah.
But that actually, so I have a question for you, I guess.
Let's do it. Yeah.
In like response to that, you said you're doubling essentially what your profit's going to be, but did you double the amount of time that you put into it?
No, it was more efficient. We probably spent a similar amount of time.
Right. So you pretty much doubled what you earn per hour, by sticking to what you know. So you don't get to do that when you bring yourself back to the bottom of the totem pole as you move across, either different zip codes or whatever, things that you just don't have the systems perfectly in place.
Yeah, it's an interesting thought exercise too, because I think a lot of people could have the belief that, hey, are you going to run out of deals in these zip codes? And I thought that too. I was like, well, I like to do deals actually in my own neighborhood. Like there's this box right around. I don't want to broadcast it too much. There's a box I really like doing deals in Tampa. There's a few boxes actually, and I was like, man, what if I run out of deals? And every time I think that, a new one becomes available. I'm like, I'm getting under contract on one yesterday.
Nice.
And I'm just like, No, you just got to keep your attention. If you keep your attention on that and you keep your follow through strong, I think you always have deals.
Yeah.
It's not like, yeah, it's not like you run out of land or run out of like teardowns to buy for what we're doing.
Yeah.
So
I think that's where we benefit here is the teardowns.
yeah,
I've thought about that when I first got into wholesale. I was like, we got to run out of opportunities here at some point.
yeah,
And then it's like, one, you're crazy because Pinellas County is so big. Even
Yeah.
St. Pete is so big. But like, by the time, if every house was to be renovated, how many years is that going to take? And then it's going to be time to tear down again. So it is nice that where we're at, it's constantly going to be, I think, available as long as like, you're doing your marketing and staying on top of things.
Yeah, 100%. This is kind of funny, and I hope this doesn't come across as too arrogant, but I was like, I want to do some math and figure out how much of my neighborhood I actually own. And the answer is 3%. I own 3% of the neighborhood, but I'm like, that's not that much. Like that's 1 out of every 33. So like 2 out of every 33 would be double. We did land development for 18 units in our neighborhood this year to date. And if I get this contract closed between now and the end of the year, it'll be 20. And so, if we just double, so if we go from 20, which is a lot for that, like kind of a 12 block area.
That is a lot.
If we double that, that's 40 units and that's still only 6%. So when you start to break down the mathematics of it, it's like, no, there's plenty of deals.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty impressive though.
I'll tell you the secret. I walk around my neighborhood every day and I'm friendly. I'll talk to people. Yeah. And I just get to know people. And then one connection leads to something else and somebody mentions it. And then a real factor too is, let's say I don't know. Let's say it's an out-of-state seller who's had a rental for a few years and they get a listing agent who's not familiar with the area. What really helps is having the truth and the confidence to be like, hey, we've just in the last 6 months, we've bought 7 different deals, all within a block of this. So we know this pretty well. We're pretty serious about this. Yeah. And it gives you like a little bit of an edge. Yeah. And it helps that it's accurate. Yeah. So
that's true.
Yeah. But one more thing. Sorry. When you miss a deal, when there was a deal, I think they put it on the market for 300 and I was willing to pay 290 and I didn't get it. And I saw that it closed for 288. I walk by the house every day and I'm so bothered. I don't know why they did that, but
why didn't you get it? Negotiation problem or
agent who kind of promised one thing and was like, hey, we won't sign anything until we talk to you first to see who has the best offer. And then who knows what happened. She forgot and she's like, sorry, this other offer's already signed. And at the time, I think they were willing to do a little more, but I don't know if they retraded or got some credit or something. Sure. And she's like, I don't feel like messing with this. I will say I don't like sharing this because I don't like that this is true, but it became being more immersed in real estate and also getting my license to realize how do I want to say this? So I
think you should say it bluntly because I know where you're going.
Yeah. The level of competency for real estate agents in Florida is horrifying. Mm-hmm. Horrifying.
I agree.
And I talked to some of these agents and I'm like, how is this possible that the seller who wants to get the best possible sales experience, the best possible price for their house, the least hassle transaction, like how did they vet this person because they're not doing a good job? I have to say this, sometimes it benefits me. Yeah. As a buyer, sometimes it benefits me. And I'm not really, if somebody's hired professional help, I'm not really going to negotiate against myself. Yeah. But it really boggles my mind. I'm like, man, there's some really, it's my cousin or it's a friend of a friend. And I see some agent from Orlando listing a house in Tampa, has no idea what's going on. Yeah. Hasn't been to the property, doesn't know the comps. I've had an agent tell me, how they priced the listing this year. Well north of Hyde Park, they use like a listing in Hyde Park to price it in North Hyde Park, kind of in the West Tampa area. I'm like, you got to understand, those are two totally different kind of properties there. So
that's a case where if that's a property that you're interested in,
yeah,
and you can come in hard with a cash offer at some point, like you're going to benefit because they're going to sit on the market. They're going to get tired. They're going to get more motivated.
Yeah.
They're not going to get the offers that they want in the first, month or two. And then they're going to be like, all right, well, we just got to take a loss here. And then if you can be the guy to make that low offer at the right time, I agree. There's a lot of listing agents that are really doing a disservice because they just don't understand. They overpricing right now is just something you can't do because you're
Yeah.
not gonna. This isn't 2022, 2023,
Yep.
and yeah, I see it all the time.
Man, it's pretty disgusting. I hate to see it a little bit. It doesn't do good service to clients, and ultimately I think it gives the industry a bad name.
Yeah,
And I don't even like really sharing that, but we got to be honest brokers about what the state of the market is right now. Yeah, I think if I broke down all agents doing deals, I think there's only 10 to 20% that are actually good.
yeah, that may be even high.
I use my own license to submit offers on our property. Like I'm an agent, I have access to MLS. I don't do too much work with clients. I will maybe a couple times a year. And it's mostly friends or connection of friends or whatever. And then just to guide my team, because I have a team of about 7 agents. And so I'll use my own license to make offers for our development company. And it's like a coin toss. It's 50-50 on if I have to carry that transaction to
Yeah.
make sure it actually closes. I'm like, I don't know if agents are being poorly guided right now to the effect of like, hey, you really just need to market yourself as an agent to pick up listings. And then once the listing is signed, like you've done all your job. Because what I'm noticing is the process from when you get under contract to when you actually close, there's less agents than there should be who actually know that process well and can navigate it and guide others in navigating it.
Yeah,
It's pretty horrific.
it is.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Yeah.
And yeah, the whole like, oh, my friend or cousin's an agent, I'll just go with them. Like they'll vet them. Look at how many transactions they've done in the year. Like look at what they've been able to sell and all that, and it is bad.
Yeah. Every once in a while, I'll hear an agent tell me some crazy stuff about how things should work or how, like, here's one, like, hey, the seller wants to cancel. Like, did no one ever tell you that's not, you just don't have the
It's not
right.
unilateral.
It's not like read the contract. That's not
No.
just like a right. The seller can't just cancel. So I don't know where some of these agents are getting guidance, but we're in a tough season with some agents just not getting the right guidance and education. So
yeah, thankfully we don't deal with, at least on the buying side, I don't deal with too many on-market stuff.
yeah.
But,
Yeah. So how much do you touch the flips that Banyan does?
I don't do too much right now.
Yeah.
I mainly act as like a sounding board when it comes to us like brainstorming, process, flip design, and stuff like that. Thankfully, we've built out the construction side. It's all collaboration.
Yeah.
Hire a project manager. We use Natasha a lot.
Yeah.
And then the contractors that kind of either she brings or we bring to the table.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of mainly oversight from our side.
Yeah.
I stick mainly to finding the deal and then kind of hand it off. But I'm still involved in like the communication, but I'm not doing too much, honestly.
Yeah. So if you look at the number of deals that you guys contract, so on the acquisition side, you guys contract, you wholesale some of them.
Yeah.
Are the flips that you guys do mostly ones that you've contracted and you close on yourselves?
Yeah.
Or is there also a component of the flips that you guys do being wholesale deals that you guys buy from other off-market acquisition folks?
Yeah. We have gotten some deals from other wholesalers. Hasn't been a lot this year. I would say we've got maybe 3 or 4 from other wholesalers this year. I think that's something we can improve on next year. Finding the right wholesale partners for that. But a majority of them are either direct to seller, either through our marketing, or we have a few solid agent partners who have brought us deals.
We'll be back to the show in 1 second. On schedule, on budget, and quality service. Those are all 3 critical factors that we look for in any trade that we work with, and they're the reason we like to align with CXR Solutions for anything contracting, plumbing, or mold remediation related. We love working with them, and we want you to be able to work with them too. Check them out in the description below. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's really good. So pretty involved in the wholesale aspect of your business.
Yeah.
What is your opinion on I want to be careful not to turn this into a gripe session. What is your opinion on like wholesalers in today's market?
Um,
Because you're in the space too.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's funny because internally when we like going back to we could do a better job of getting deals from wholesalers. I typically don't look at deals from wholesalers because I'm
Hmm.
like they're probably trash. It's
Yeah.
probably a bad deal,
Yeah.
and a lot of them really are. But
Truly.
I
Yeah.
hope that I hope from the other side, if I send a deal to someone, they're not thinking, oh, it's probably trash, and they're not looking at it. So, um, but I think there's definitely a lot of bad actors.
Hmm.
There's a lot of people who, and I think the market has kind of washed away some of them
Yeah.
recently. It's not as bad as it was, but it's definitely still like there's definitely a lot of people who are just sending out junk deals. Um, but I've noticed a lot of them are like they're not their deals.
Yeah.
And I could also be just kind of naive because maybe I'm just not paying attention to them more. But like I feel like there was a time where I was getting junk deals that were like direct to seller, and they're just like over promising the sellers and getting them at bad prices, and
Yeah.
that's why they're junk. There's a lot of what I see right now, like it's just a lot of daisy chain, a lot of like people wanting to work together and JV on the wholesale side, but like JV somehow turns into let's inflate the price and now
Yeah.
it's a junk deal. So
Yeah. If enough hands touch it, it becomes not an advantageous to
yeah,
them. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think there's definitely a lot of good ones out there for sure.
Yeah.
I actually bought one on Friday from a wholesaler,
Yeah.
and decent experience. And thankfully through EIMG, I'm able to see who's the high caliber wholesalers, which
Yeah.
is great. And that's kind of the only people I pay attention to. Um, but I think there's definitely a lot of bad actors. There's definitely a lot of people who are just doing shady stuff, and I think that's in any industry. I think there's real estate agents who do, who are bad at what they do, as we just mentioned, but like doing things that probably aren't ethical.
Yeah.
Um, it's really easy to do in wholesaling because there's no regulations in Florida. So
Yeah. I think eventually, though, it has a tendency to wash out.
yeah,
Yeah. Sometimes because we focus so geographically, like, one of the zip codes we buy pretty extensively in is 33607. I'll get sent, it's maybe an exaggeration. Like I'll get sent the same deal 10 times in 3 days. The realistic number is probably more than five, but
sure,
I'm like, I don't know who actually has it.
yeah,
I'll get it sent at 300, 305, 310, 320. I'm like, who is the lowest price and are they even the one? I don't know.
yeah,
And I'm appreciative of it, right? People are trying to look out like, oh, James might want to see this deal.
yeah,
But you go 3, 4 layers deep, people are just seeing it, adding 5K and sending it along.
yep,
It's like, uh, I don't mind buying at whatever price works
yeah.
for
If it
me.
works, it
Like
works.
I want people to be able to make money, but when it gets to be this crazy inflated price, and the real factor is the loss of control. So it's like, hey, I'm not going to close without a survey.
Yeah,
And if there's a big tree, I'm not going to close without an arborist report. And so if you can't really do a title objection on an arborist report, but if there's an encroachment or easement, that is in the FAR bar as is contract. That's usually a clause to raise a title objection. So like, what if that happens?
yeah,
Now we're 5 people deep, and now the messenger has to carry,
yep,
so many layers. So earlier this year, I kind of instituted a company rule to we have to see redacted contracts. I will only
yeah,
do a wholesale deal where I'm the end buyer if I can see a redacted
yeah.
contract.
We do that too. I
Yeah.
won't sign. I'm not signing an assignment agreement if I can't see what's being assigned to me.
Right. Like, well, I need to know. I'm inheriting some rights that you signed
Yeah,
as the original buyer trying to assign me those rights. Like, I need to know what that means,
yeah,
and kind of not doing that is risky. But when people don't want to, I don't care what the price is.
yeah.
When people don't want to share that, it's extremely questionable.
Sure.
What are we actually doing
Yeah,
here?
just redact it.
Yeah.
I'll probably care at the closing table, but right now to secure the deal, I don't care.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. That's
Uh,
good.
Um, have you found uh like getting deals that your typical deals obviously take some time and they
Yeah.
take due diligence. How's that work with wholesalers? Have you found that successful? Because like from my side, like I want as little contingencies as possible,
Yep.
because I want to know that the deal is going to get to the finish line before I'm out of time to do my thing. So like, how do you work that? How have you been successful with wholesalers? Have they worked with you on that? Or
Yeah. So it depends. So I will take way more risk if the risk gets mitigated by a lower price. And so earlier this year, we closed on a deal that was 475. And I do a lot of marketing on social media where I'm like, hey, we're hammering these 2 zip codes. And it's true. We're buying deals it's definitely multiple times a month. It's almost every week. We're either buying or selling a deal in these 2 zip codes, 07 and 09. Somebody had seen that and they sent me a deal and they said, hey, I send it to you first. Just wanted to give you a first look. I said, I actually like this a lot. I can go by there this afternoon. I need to take a look at trees. And if there are any trees, I need some time to get my arborist out there. He's usually 5 days out. That's, kind of pretty typical. So I'm willing to do EMD. I can do it right now, but I need like a 5-day inspection period. And it's only for these reasons. And they were able to make it work.
That's awesome.
I think they had a 20-day inspection period or whatever. So if I had canceled within 5 days, they still had 15 days. And so, so we closed, and that's working well.
Cool.
And I'm entitling that for 4 townhomes, and it's under contract to sell, and it's under contract to sell to someone in the group who's going to build it.
Nice.
So yeah,
like that.
Yeah. So it varies. I think this year, something that we've done, it's not that we didn't do this in past years. I put a little bit more emphasis on it this year is not getting over our head with trying to force the deal.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I really need it at 290 and you've got it at 310, I'm not going to fib my underwriting to come up to 300.
Yeah.
Like we have other good things going on. And what I've noticed with that is it's proved to be a good move. I don't know if this would have worked in 2022, but it's proved to be a good move because people will start calling you when you may not be the top price, but they know you can close.
Yeah.
And I throw this out a lot too, is of any deal that we've gone through inspection period on, and we're now through inspection period, my close rate is 100%. I've never not closed unless there's some crazy like title thing.
Sure.
We had a pretty bad, it was 2-foot encroachment of a different, it was like kind of a permanent fence on a property earlier this year. And so it was a 0-day inspection period on that, but I didn't know until the survey came back that there was an encroachment. So the risk with that, especially because for us, it was a PD rezoning, we're going to tear it down and then build 2 townhomes there. The risk for that is I'm inheriting a problem in 2 years because that end buyer, we have a 5-foot side setback right there. Well, now it's 3 foot because the other properties, it goes over 2 feet because of this fence. So in a situation like that, I will issue a title objection for an encroachment, which if you read through the contract, you're allowed to do that. Yeah. And so the neighbor, I guess the owner talked to the neighbor and they moved the fence and solved it for me. And it's became not a problem anymore. Right. So then we closed. But that's a rare situation.
Got it.
It's also stuff like that why I won't close. At least for development, I will never not close without a survey.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. You're putting a lot of eggs in one basket, I feel like, with development. So it's a little different than, an encroachment's not really gonna, a 2-foot encroachment from a fence isn't gonna affect my flip.
Yeah.
But for development, there's a lot at play. And the city, I feel like if the city can find anything to stop you, they're probably going to.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know everything, but I've learned a lot in the last few years. Like easements is another one. You'll have private or public easement. There was a deal I was looking at in Riverside Heights earlier this year, and it had I don't know how, like there's some weird stuff in real estate. There really is. I don't know how, but there was a public utility. It was stormwater. It was a stormwater system owned by City of Tampa that was underneath a private lot. And so you can't build over top. They're not going to let you build over top of an easement that cuts through your yard. You can't see it. It's just, it's 5-6 feet underground, but that could affect your plan a lot. If you're planning to put a house right there, you might have to go towards the back of the lot or whatever. So
we actually have one of those on our property. There's like the neighboring properties all kind of have like a pond that it's like set up for water retention, sort of. But like there's never any water in it.
Yeah.
But the county, they have an easement that they could access that if they need to, and just goes across. Thankfully our lot's super deep.
Yeah.
But they have that easement.
Yeah. So you can get yourself into a mess if you have something to where it's it's a City of Tampa lot and it's not reflected on the plat map, like the interactive Hillsborough County plat map, and you don't get a survey and then you close on it planning to split the lot, rezone, even just build just a normal house in accordance with current use. You can get yourself in a mess really quick. So get a survey.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a takeaway.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
it's they say a smart what is this saying? A smart man learns from his own mistakes, but a genius learns from the mistakes of others. And so I see some people do things and then share their lessons. I'm like, make sure I don't do that.
That's what
Yeah.
that's for.
Yeah. 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 It's funny because sometimes my team will be like, hey, it's just in our inter-team chat. They're like, we don't have a person anymore for this. Like, whatever, drywall. Let's just throw out a random thing. And they're like, does anybody have drywall? I'm like, ask the group. Like
Yeah.
the group, just ask the group. Like
Yeah.
it'll be 4 minutes before somebody responds with probably a really good contact. But yeah, it's good. It's really good. I try my best to make sure it's not an environment where it's like blind leading blind. I think that definitely happens in groups, and
Yeah.
I think real estate education is really important. But sometimes you get into an environment where everyone's just so proud of their wins, and then it's only wins, and it's like I think you really have to foster an environment where it's also okay being vulnerable.
Sure.
Because I don't care who you are. Every single high level person I know, and not high level people too, there's a season where you're going to go through it.
Yeah.
And the season, once you go through it once, it's going to eventually come again. And so the irony is when people go through those seasons is when they want to kind of go into their shell and go inwardly a little bit and seek less support from others, be less vulnerable about what they're going through. The irony of all that is likely when they need the most help.
Yeah.
And they don't want to raise their hand and be like, I'm going through it. I have an issue.
Their egos getting in the way.
That's a whole thing. Yeah. I feel like you've done a lot of work outside the business on yourself and your mindset and just like how you approach things.
Yeah.
Why?
It's a good question. I think it has to do with going back to that closer versus more or over more when I really think about it, because I've always found like I'm in this state of hurry, I feel like the goalpost is constantly moving, and there's always been this like kind of wonder of like what's really fulfilling. And thankfully my daughter, she's turning 2 in 3 days.
Nice.
She's helped to kind of, I think, shift my mind on how I look at things and like why I'm here and what is the purpose,
Yeah.
And I've just really started to look at like, even like on a micro level, like my day, like, am I enjoying my day?
Yeah.
And what is contributing to that, and what's, taking away from that. And I think as entrepreneurs, as people who are, they have this drive to achieve a lot, there's just never a contentment. And that's something that I try to put a lot of focus in. I was like, just like sometimes I'm like, man, like look at, like, I'm outside, it's beautiful, sky's blue, daughter, family's around. It's like, hey man, everything's good.
Yeah.
Why is there so much focus on what's, the anxiety of what's tomorrow, or what's not going right, or anything like, stuff like that. It's like, man, if we look at the grand scheme of life, like the chances of us being here is just, I don't know what that number is, but it's insane that we're here and we're experiencing what we are. So like, I've just tried to put a lot of focus into like realizing that. And, but then also like, I'm trying to be a phrase that's important to me is intentional significance. That's something that I remind myself a lot of, and like, I think a lot of people kind of drift. I envision like a log in the water or something. They're just kind of moving around, and life's kind of just pushing them, where life wants to go. And there has to be this, like, you have to really be intentional with your time and with what you're doing to like be significant and like to actually create something. Like, it takes a conscious and like a real effort to just create, because there's so many things that are working against us. So it's like another thing that just I've really tried to put a lot of focus into. And something I think about is like, if I'm going to do this, it doesn't make any sense to do it half-ass. If I'm gonna go, like I started going to this Bible study. That's something I've never done before.
Yeah.
there's thankfully I found a one near us. It's like 50 guys that get together on Friday morning. And the first day it was really easy for me to just kind of sit back and listen and kind of observe what's going on.
Are you more of an
And
introvert?
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm more of like I'm definitely more of an introvert, but I like to observe. I
Yeah.
like to be I'm aware. I like to be aware of what's around me.
Yeah.
So if I'm like talking a lot and getting in, engaging in whatever's going on, I can't do that. I'm the
Yeah.
guy who wants to face the door when we're in a restaurant and I want to see everything that's going on. It's just kind of who I am.
Did you ever consider joining the military?
I did very strongly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Like you're like, you just have that mentality.
thanks.
Yeah.
I'm glad you didn't finish that with "you have the looks" because I get that too many times, and I guess it's cool to for people to think, but it's like, well, buck stopped at me looking like it,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. But thank you. So yeah, definitely an introvert, but like I didn't get the most out of day one because I didn't really speak up. And I'm like, dude, if you're gonna go do this, if you're gonna spend your time doing this, like get the most out of it. Or if I'm going to the gym, instead of being on your phone half the time and spending literally an hour at the gym, like why don't you actually spend an hour at the gym and get the most out of that time? So
Yeah.
I started just thinking like, if I'm gonna do something, you're wasting your time if you're not in it 100%. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's been a lot of deep work I've been trying to do, and it really started January 2nd, when I did 75 hard for my second time.
This year.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
year. And I just, I don't know, there's a lot of health, focus, but then just a lot of like, let's cut out the waste of everything else. And that was kind of needed to be efficient with my time, be, there for my wife and be there for my daughter, but also do 75 hard. It takes a lot from you. So like I got to cut out the waste. And I started at that point kind of starting to identify like what is the fat in my life.
Yeah. I was talking to a professional colleague who I consider pretty close. We talk quite a bit about this: team building, leadership, becoming the best version of yourself, things like that. And we were texting yesterday and he's like, yeah, what I'm doing with marketing has caught a lot of flack from like my college friends, and they just have a bunch of BS to say and chirp at me and all this stuff. And he's like, you know, I I really am getting to the point where I'm not really resonating with that anymore, and my circle is becoming smaller,
Mhm.
and I don't mind it. And I was like, that is the work.
Yeah.
Yes, this is what it feels like.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you get that.
Yeah. I've got a very small circle and
Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah, there's a lot of noise out there, I think, in life and in business. A lot of people, yeah, I don't know why, probably pride, but there are a lot of people who want to give you this perception of who they are and or successful
Yeah.
or money. And um, I think I take no pride in me personally saying this, but I think a lot of those people are miserable inside,
I agree.
and it's a travesty.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of like right now the world like just current times,
yeah,
social media, and everyone's highlighting their wins and kind of going back to like what you want to have in EIMG, like an opportunity for people to be vulnerable too, because that's how they're going to grow and learn from other people. But like you just don't see that enough. So
yeah,
you're constantly feeling like there's a bar that you need to reach, and it's everyone's bar, they're showing it up here, and it's like, well, if you were to take their bad days and count that against them, like their net is probably not as high as you think it is, or their life's not as great as you think it is. But like there's just this constant perception that you feel like you need to keep up with.
so good,
So
man,
I think that's yeah.
so good.
People are miserable.
Yeah, and you don't have to be.
No, you need something that fulfills you for
I
sure.
think there's also an understanding that there's no such thing as winning every single day. You can have a version of a win,
Yeah,
but winning consistently may not feel like a win, or you may not be able to accomplish a win that particular day. So I think about that quite a bit. Like, what is winning?
yeah. I think there's a lot of so I think what contributes to people being miserable right now is like their inability to be patient.
Yeah.
So, if I'm working towards, and actually I realized this, or I kind of thought about this in a different way recently. Like, I want to do a half Ironman, And when I look at the training that's needed to get to that, my mind tends to go to like, how the hell am I going to one day get out there and run, after swimming, biking, run 13
Yeah.
miles?
A lot of
How am I going to do
break
that?
workouts.
Yeah, yeah. But, but I don't need to worry about that. If I have a training program, all I need to worry about is like, what is my training today?
Yeah.
Tomorrow is not here yet. I
Yeah.
need to worry about just what is that move today. And I think it's really hard to do that. People just like there's just not that the mindset's just not there for the patience to, slowly get towards your goal. Everyone wants their goal today. And when you don't have that, you're feeling miserable, you're feeling empty because your perception of like what is real and what should be is incorrect.
Yeah. There's a phrase in SEAL training, eat the elephant one bite at a time.
Yeah. For that.
And you can really, when you consider it as a whole, buds is like, I think it's a little more than 6 months. I think it's 30 weeks long. They might have changed over
Yeah,
the
that's
years,
a long
but
time.
when you consider that, it's I think it maybe it's 27 plus 3 weeks of in-doc, but whatever. It's about half a year.
Sure.
And so if you consider that as a whole, it could be pretty mentally insurmountable.
Yeah. It's daunting.
But you're just like, right now it's breakfast, and then we'll have like 4 hours or whatever we have, and like I can do that for 4 hours, and then we'll have lunch.
Yeah.
And that's very much the way I thought. I think that's how a lot of guys start to think.
Yeah.
And then you just have these little wins and try. There's not another saying. It's like, try not to let the highs get too high and the lows get too low. And I think there's a lot of business application to that too. Because I catch myself even now. Oh, that deal didn't close. I'm so frustrated. Like I feel like a failure this week. It's like, bro, you set records for yourself this year. Like you found a way to be the best version of yourself this year. You have people around you who love you. You have friends who support you. Like,
Yeah.
your life's pretty good. Like, I don't think you failed this week. Stop being dramatic.
Yeah.
Stop being a crybaby, and just accept that today didn't feel good and tomorrow's an opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sun's gonna rise.
Yeah. Cool. So what opportunities, as we kind of close this out, what opportunities are you looking forward to in 2026? Right around the corner.
I am really excited to see how the new construction turns out.
I'm
for
stoked
us.
for you. Every time I see it on social media, I'm like, man, that's so sick.
We those like I really look forward to the day where we're doing just more bigger deals.
Yeah.
Or even if it's, volume wise less, like doing more things that just kind of, have a really big impact.
Yeah.
And we're building out our sales team, opening up. We're now going to start marketing in Hillsboro, so hopefully I can feed you some property.
Yeah.
But we're starting to see the success. We saw the success with the sales team this year for acquisitions, and just kind of seeing how we can start to scale that a little bit.
It's great.
And do it properly. We scaled early. We did there was a lot of expansion and contraction within our wholesale business over the last few years. And
Yeah.
I think we finally, over the last 12 months, have kind of solidified the foundation. So we feel good about the ability to scale and not go too far, but like expand our geography a little bit and build out the sales team. And I feel good about our training for that. So those are the two things really.
Solid
on the real estate side. So
I don't know, advice you'd give to somebody who's in the thick of it, or somebody who's I don't want to put words in your mouth. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think just going back to learning lessons and kind of circling back to, you mentioned how we seem to be doing pretty good, in relation to the rest of the market or other people that you may know. And I think it's just trying to keep our ego out of the way. Reaching out to people, collabing when we need it, but also like not letting the shiny objects get in the way. And I think that's easy to do on. So going back to what you mentioned with not budging your numbers to make the deal work on paper, when you feel like that's like your only deal that you have available, it's really easy for you to budge those numbers.
Yeah.
When you feel like another deal's not going to come your way, and this is kind of end all be all, like you're probably going to shift your spreadsheet a little bit. So all I can say is with that is really just like, don't let ego get in the side. Don't get attached to a deal. More going to come if you stay involved. So don't fudge your numbers.
Man, easier said than done.
Yeah, it really
Don't
is.
let your ego get in the way. Something I noticed I've been doing even recently was in a negotiation. When I would get agitated, I would make certain points to not actually get the outcome I desired, but to make a point.
Yeah.
And I was like, why are you doing that? Like that's from a place of pure pride, and it doesn't actually further your goals
Yeah.
to a desirable outcome. Stop. Like stop.
Yeah.
And so, but once I became aware of it, and this is just totally open and vulnerable, like I should have been doing that long ago. Like
Yeah.
that's kind of immature of me. But once I became aware of it, I really started to notice how many other people do that.
Yeah.
Even today, I had a little social media thing on Facebook. I said, if an agent mentions how long they've been in the business in a transaction you're currently under contract on, you're about to have a really fun time.
Yeah.
And someone, I'm not going to like bash them or anything, but someone commented like, yeah, when that's the case, I like to ask them this and really like point out that they're not that, they're still amateurs. I'm like, I don't see how that would really further my ability to do the deal.
Yeah.
Like that seems like further away.
Sure.
So close over more.
Yeah.
Thanks, John.
Yeah.
Appreciate you coming
Absolutely.
on.
Thanks, man.